Before we get started, I want to thank our first partner, Response Ready Medical. Response Ready Medical, bringing our customers the best quality training and equipment for the worst case scenario. Response Ready Medical's vision is to be the leading provider of emergency preparedness solutions across the United States, empowering communities, organizations, and individuals to respond confidently and preserve life during critical moments. Offering same-day certification, all Response Ready Medical classes are instructed by nationally registered and state-licensed firefighter, paramedics, law enforcement officers, and hospital staff. Classes currently being offered by Response Ready Medical include CPR and AED, CPR, AED, and first aid, emergency trauma care, child and babysitting safety, CABS, backcountry medicine, and wilderness first aid. Your premium partner in emergency preparedness, Response Ready Medical. Welcome to the Pursuing Freedom Outdoors podcast, a place where backcountry warriors can share their stories of grit, service, healing, and wilderness adventures. I'm your host, Tom Walton, Marine Corps veteran, full-time cop, and aspiring hunting and fishing guide. Join me and others as we journey from the hood to the woods in pursuit of freedom in the outdoors. All right, everyone, thank you for listening to episode 12 of the Pursuing Freedom Outdoors podcast. Today, I'm joined by Brad Alberts, who I was introduced to through John Wyke, who you all know pretty well, because by the time this airs, he'll have been on twice. So just getting right into Brad's background, growing up in Spokane, Washington, for those that don't know, Spokane, Washington, Brad began hunting when he was in the 6th grade, roughly, when his dad took him and his brother hunting for whitetail bucks in the mountains of eastern Washington. He also became addicted to fishing at a young age, and after high school, he doubled down on the outdoors and was an avid archery deer and elk hunter, bass fisherman, turkey hunter, and waterfowler. He shot a giant full velvet whitetail buck on his first attempt at archery hunting, and he has hunted with his bow every year since, and worked extremely hard to kill a bull elk. He seems like he's got it dialed, because I think one of the notes he sent me was he's killed 4 bulls in the last 5 years. So his track record's pretty on point as an elk hunter at this point. Did I lose you? Nope, you're still there. Just lost the screen. Yep. All right, no worries. Easy editing. Brad has spent the last 16 years serving in the U.S. Air National Guard and is currently a full-time active guard reserve crew chief with the 141st ARW. I'll let Brad explain what all that means acronym-wise, so don't worry about it. And last but definitely most important, Brad is a husband and father of 4 kids, ages 8, 9, 10, and 12. So he is probably extremely busy, hence why you see him in his truck. And his wife is back in college full-time and the owner of 509 Equine, where she trains horses and coaches riders. Brad, you have one heck of a busy life, my man. Thank you for taking the time to join us on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to it.
Heck yeah, man. So we'll just jump right in here. You have an awesome hunting history, and I'm excited to hear about it. So let's just start with diving in a little bit with your experience growing up hunting and fishing in eastern Washington, which is right here in my backyard as a North Idaho resident with your dad and brother.
Yeah, Tom. Grew up, my brother and I and my 2 sisters. My dad introduced us to the outdoors. It wasn't like we lived on a bunch of acreage way up in the boonies. We lived in Spokane. I was, in the city there, and then every year during rifle deer season, he would take a couple weekends and take us up and show us the deer woods, just as he did when he was younger. He didn't have a lot of time. He was an electrician, blue collar guy with 4 kids, similar to my story, but he just kind of always found time to get us out there, just a little taste, and that's all it took, really. Seeing the beautiful mountains that we have here, and we're so blessed in eastern Washington to have them. But just those couple of weekends every year is all it really took for my brother and I. We weren't die hard by any means, but he just showed us what it was and taught us how to shoot and taught us what it was to track and chase whitetail deer. And then all we had from there was just watching Real Tree Outdoors on Sunday nights, or Buckmasters with Jackie Bushman in the city. Just thinking about the next time we got to go in the woods with Dad. So yeah, and then after that, when I was 18, it's like, okay, well, now I can earn my own money and do my own thing. And my brother and I really kind of doubled down on hunting and fishing. We love the outdoors and started putting more money, time, and effort into that. And that was just a real kickstart. Um, Picked up a bow and got into archery hunting just because it offered longer seasons here in Washington. And also, I was interested in the challenge. And so, yeah, I just started pursuing them heavier and longer and harder and trying to be successful. About the same time I started archery is when I joined the Air National Guard there a couple years out of high school. Been doing that now for 16 years. It started off as just a 1 week in a month, 2 week in a year type guard service, and then I found full-time employment out there at Fairchild. And yeah, it's been an amazing career, amazing choice, and very blessed to have been doing that. But yeah, never would have dreamt I was going to be an aircraft mechanic, but here I am. They taught me the ways, and I'm a competitive by nature type guy, and I'm also all about work ethic. So you work hard enough at something, you end up getting pretty decent at it. So started that career, and it's been great since. And so provided good means for me and my family to grow. 4 kids, as you mentioned. Yeah, Cooper is the youngest. He's 8. He's nonverbal, autistic son of mine. He's amazing. And Jada is 9. Reed is 10, and Jackson is 12. Just an active bunch. All the sports, all the things, riding horses and dirt bikes, and yeah, they are a fun bunch. And my amazing wife Jessica, she's got her business part-time, 519 Equine. She's been training riding lessons and horses for 20 years with different folks of all ages, and she's amazing with that. And she just went back to college to get her degree in teaching, which lines up pretty well with her coaching. And so that's where we're at. Yeah, we're just, you run of the mill blue collar family. Nothing was handed to us, but we love working hard to earn it, and living life to the fullest as God intended. And we're just super blessed, and we know it. And we just love to share our story with others and bring others along with us while we're at it.
Man, that's a lot, and that is awesome. A couple things that stand out to me is one, I don't know if I would go run of the mill. You guys are out there just absolutely crushing it and getting after it, which is credit to that work ethic that you talked about. Definitely appreciate working class, blue collar. One of the things that, I like to dive into and motivates me is just stories of successful entrepreneurs, because, starting a business is extremely difficult and often fails. And to be able to be successful at your own business is a lot of hard work. And so my hat's off to your wife and you for putting in that effort, especially with her going back to school full time. There's just nothing easy about that. And then you throw in parenting 4 kids. So you guys got it going on. Definitely could tell you guys are working super hard. But the other thing that I keyed in on, which is, you give glory to God and know that you're blessed. And I think that's probably part of the reason you guys are successful, because you know where it comes from. So that's beautiful, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I do feel stronger with her. We're definitely a power couple, and it helps to be grounded by faith for sure. And, all things just come easier after that. So
that's awesome, brother. What about, serving, just to jump back to your military service real quick? I like listeners to hear the answer to this question. What got you to serve your country? What was it about service that called you? And because, a lot of times we join the military, regardless of what branch it is, there could be inherent risk, at the very least, deployments and stuff like that. So what was it, man? What is it that made you decide to answer the call to service for your country?
Yeah, early on in high school, I wasn't I wasn't going to join the military. I was a bit of a homebody just because I love this area, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go outside of my home. And my brother joined the Marine Corps, just as yourself, when he was out of high school. He was the amphibious assault crewman, and he was active duty Marine Corps. And then I think it was a little bit of that, it's just like, man, if you're serving, I could totally serve. I'm able body, and there's a lot of purpose behind that, and there's a lot of good people. And so there's a little bit of that, and then also it's like, what am I going to do? Those steps after high school, a little bit daunting, and so I was going to pursue a college degree, and I didn't want to pay for it, so that was another reason. And I had the Air National Guard. I found out from my sister's old softball coach was in the Washington Air National Guard, and he caught me one day in my part-time job while I was going to college. He's like, "So what are you up to, Brad?" And I was just like, college, working here at the old sports authority. He's like, "You should come join the Guard. It's a good deal." And so I started looking into it, and certainly it was a really good deal. Good way to earn some supplemental income, pay for college, and still just stay home, right in your backyard. And other than deployments and stuff, you're not getting sent around to different stations all around the country. You're still home stationed right here. So that kind of is what led to that.
That's fantastic, man. I definitely encourage young people to join the military, especially if they're not 100% on what they want to do yet. And even if they are, just because pays for school just gives you a ton of head starts, and you get to do something, like you said, that's bigger than yourself. So that's
Absolutely.
fantastic, man. Well, good deal. Thank you for your service, dude. Thanks for your 16 years and continuing. That's amazing work.
Yeah, thank you, and all the followers. I mean, you know, we grow strong with our connections with each other for sure. So we're stronger together. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's just awesome to see what's happening. You just talk to good people and good things, and take care of folks, and good things tend to follow you. Like getting an opportunity to get introduced to you is huge. So, um, yeah, man, I'm really excited to hear about this hunt. This kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, your service is a great story. Your background's a great story, but John told me that you went on an incredible hunting trip that was not just your average Washington elk hunt. So why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah. So for 16 years, I've been putting in the draw system here in Washington. We have elk in Washington. We do have over the counter hunts, but with archery equipment and the number of hunters, the number of animals, most of the hunts that you can go on over the counter aren't high in either elk numbers or that very easy at all based on the tag. A lot of them are spike tags, and you know how many spikes are in certain herds. You're competing against all those things, and yeah, I've been putting in for this tag in the Blue Mountains in Southeast Washington for 16 years. When I first started elk hunting, it was down there. It used to be a spike cow unit, and then now it just turned to a spike unit. So I stopped hunting down there. But anyway, so me and my buddies who used to hunt down there, like-minded, some military, some just high school buddies, we would do an elk camp every year. But like, oh, when one of us draws this tag, man, we're all gonna rally back down here, and it's gonna be epic. Well, come to find out, this is the year I drew the tag, and luckily, I didn't have a deployment or some big commitment in September on the calendar. So I was just like, the stars aligned. Let's go. I got vacation in the bank, and the kids are good. The wife's happy. Let's do this. So it worked out super awesome. And yeah, so it was a full summer of preparation and scouting, shooting my bow, just kind of talking about the old honey holes. And I got out my old Garmin GPS from 2006, going through my old waypoints, trying to see any little old wallow I may have marked. Again, this is the last time I was down in this area was like 10 years before I drew this tag. And um, but during the preparation for this hunt, I was looking into it all, and I'd heard about a fire that went through down there. And I had to get down there this summer to check out to see what kind of devastation that had and see if it moved animals around from where the old honey holes kind of used to be, where I knew they were. And these mountains, they're steep and deep. I mean, you got to be in shape, especially with a bow in your hand. Like, you got to be prepared and ready, at least with a couple buddies too. I mean, you could do it solo, but they're one of those steep and deep look mountains where it's like, this is, it's unsafe to do kind of solo. You really need at least one other guy, if not more, if you can, especially in September, to get them out in the heat and all that and the meat. So anyways, I went down there, and sure
Right.
enough, my old honey holes were like burned. Like, it changed the landscape completely. And so it's just like, oh man, I kind of went, back to the starting line, which in the end now too, I'm just even more like proud. Like, I didn't just go sit on an old wallow I knew about an old, old bull came wandering through like they used to. So it was even more rewarding, but I definitely had my work cut out for me. So I went down there, a few times this summer, hung up some game cameras and shot my bow as much as I could. And, and I didn't see a
What
single
kind
elk.
of not to not
Yeah,
to
good.
interrupt you too much, but what kind of bow are you shooting? What kind of bow are you
So yeah,
shooting, and what's your arrow setup?
this bow, I used to be the hunting manager when I was going to college part time. I was used to be worked at Sportsman's Warehouse in the hunting department, and this bow, it was a G5 Primal, still is. I've had this bow since like 2009, and every year since then, like since like 10 years ago, I'm like, I need to get a new bow. This thing is getting old. You know how like technology has improved with archery equipment, and I've
Oh,
replaced
yeah,
the string. I still shooting this G5 Primal, and it's put down some animals. I've shot a few like 140 class whitetails and mule deer, and ish. I didn't score them, but that's about where they land. But they're on the wall anyway. But yeah, so it's just like, okay, like this bow's got some use. It's been good, but like I never did upgrade. Yeah, it's a G5 Primal though. Still shooting well. Uh, you know, but
love
that's
it,
what I
man.
shot him with.
Heck yeah.
But but yeah,
What are
so
you
but
shooting
that
for
hunt, it was
arrows
just
and
wild
broadheads?
because what's that? Sorry.
I'm sorry about that, man. What are you shooting for arrows and broadheads?
Oh yeah, G5 Primal. Just your gold tip. I shot the Velocity 300 spine this year, and I always just got gold tip XT hunters or pro hunters, one of those two out of the box. 29 and a half inch draw, 100 grain broadhead is what I've typically always shot, just because I wanted the ability to shoot longer. Because you know, practice up to 60 and 70 as long as it's no wind and broadside for elk. 100 grain broadhead. Um, and so that was my plan. I was shooting mechanicals this year, which has been back and forth over time. More conversations on mechanicals and fixed, and my opinions on different broadheads I've shot elk with. But yeah, it was a 100 grain broadhead mechanical. It was a Rage Carnivore that I killed this elk with. But um,
Good
yeah,
deal.
so that was it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing. I just know that listeners are going to be like, what's he shooting, man? It's a huge
Yeah,
question. So
yeah. Well, it's
appreciate you
very interesting
sharing
too.
that.
I'll touch back on the
But
broadhead performance for sure. It's when I tell the story here in a second, but kind of interesting
good deal.
info to learn from it.
Absolutely. So you were before I interrupted you, you were talking about you put out some game cameras and you're starting at square one for scouting.
Yeah. So I scouted, did a couple overnight camps and scouted and glassed. Did not turn up an elk. Didn't see much for sign. Did not turn up an elk with the eyeball. Again, it was hot and it was not the ideal summer scouting, but like, I was putting the effort in for the old spots, nothing. I was ruling out some areas, which was still moving the needle, and getting better. And then the game cameras, they were cell cameras, and I had a bar of service in a couple of these spots. And the only pictures I got of anything all summer, and they weren't the best locations for the game cameras, but I found a couple spots that were near water with wolves. And wolves were not there a decade ago. So
Wow.
that was a new competition and
Say I didn't
new piece to the
wasn't even
story
sure.
that I had. Yeah, yep. I had one picture I actually posted on Washington wolf sightings, but it was there was one video I posted on there was really significant. There was 7 young, like 4 or 5 month old pups in one video, and mom and dad made 9. And so I was like, wow, that was just one pack. And I think there was 2 others too. I pieced them together after I pulled that SD card, and I was like, I think there was 11 in that. So wolves really have moved in there, and I saw more wolf sign when I was hunting too. So that's a new kind of game changer that I wasn't
That's
used to. Wolves down there.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's wild, man. So you had your spots burned out, which caused you to have to start back at square one. And then, just for trying to find spots, you're going out, you're not really seeing elk, but I like your attitude about it. You're ruling out, well, I mean, that's an important part of scouting, right? Is ruling out
Yeah.
areas that you look up when you're doing your e-scouting.
Hmm.
But then to throw on top of all that, you got wolves, which I didn't even guess I knew. I mean, it makes sense, but I wasn't aware that wolves were in the blues. Um, and for
Yeah.
folks that don't know, the blues are a really iconic mountain range in southeast Washington. I believe they dip into Oregon as well, but
Yeah, they go
they're a
into
real
Oregon as
special
well.
place to go hunting. Yeah, so that's where we're at in the story. But yeah, man, how was your mindset? Like, how are you feeling about your odds on this hunt, facing all these things, burned out spots and wolves?
Well, every year I've hunted elk, I've gotten better. And, as many YouTube videos and online forums and articles you can read about elk hunting, those are all great tools and talking about it and listening to other people's stories. But as you've heard, I'm sure before, is like there's nothing more valuable than going out and putting eyes on and doing it every year yourself. You gain so much more, the multiply factor times I don't know how many, but so with that point, I was still confident. I knew there was wolves in this mountain, or there was elk. Yeah, I knew there was wolves. Yeah, there's elk in this mountain range, and I knew um how to find elk, how to call elk, and that's because I've practiced over the last 15 years. I'd spent 9 or 10 years hunting elk before I killed my first one in Eastern Washington. That was that was over the counter efforts up northeast and down in the Blue Mountains. It never happened for me. There was a lot of close calls. I had one close call with a really big bull up northeast. They're quiet up there. And then finally 5 years ago, I killed my first elk with a bow in Oregon. It was a spike. I called him in and shot him at like 8 yards frontal. It was awesome. I was like, I finally did it. I broke the curse there. And then after that, I've killed 4 bulls in the last 5 years, and I've called all the bulls in. And so once you start have success calling these elk in, especially with bull sounds, you start to have some confidence and know. And then also listening to some of the other guys, like Paul Medell and some of the famous, why are the elk doing this at this time and why do they sound like that? What are they saying? I was really keying in on what they're saying and why they're saying it when they're saying it. And so I feel like I got a lot more talented with calling in elk based on some of those tips and tricks learned on the internet and social medias and through Up Net Outdoors, and then also through just my firsthand experience listening to them and calling them in. And so I had confidence. I was like, oh, we're going to find them. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be quick. I thought it was going to be 4 or 5 days before I found them and then got on them and then maybe got a couple at bats, but it ended up, thank goodness, it happened a little faster
Right.
than I thought it was going to be. So that was cool.
Right on. So you, man, your work ethic, like you said, man, is awesome, and your tenacity to just keep pushing. And archery elk hunting is really really tough. And I mean, obviously, the success rates aren't super high. So you've gotten to this point, and with all of this, how important was your summer prep and scouting prior to getting on the ground? How much did it play into success?
I would say shooting my
How big of a
bow
deal was that
and
for you?
calling, practice calling and shooting my bow is like the most paramount and staying in shape, right? I mean, I didn't want to have to go look at any canyon and be like, I'm not going down there. If there's a bull bugling in there, I'm going in there. That was my mindset, no matter where it was down there. And so you got to be able to, especially with this tag. I mean, again, it's to each his own, but this tag, like, guys wait 20 years to get these tags, and my buddies have all waited, and they're all like, "You got a tag? You got to kid me!" So there's a little bit of that pressure of like, okay, well, what are you going to do with that tag? Are you going to shoot some raghorn on the top, or are you going to go after big nasty daddy down in the bottom? So I was like, oh man, I gotta make sure I try to
Yep.
get, especially early, try to get on a mature bull was the goal. Um, so yeah, just making sure I was in shape, which I've never really had too much of an issue with. The military helps with that, with your annual PT tests. You can't get too out of shape. Of course, in the Air Force, right? Doesn't exactly always reflect, but don't throw any shade there, Tom. Uh, but
No,
yeah,
no
no. So
judgment, man. No
yeah, it's
judgment.
all
I've
right.
seen.
But yeah,
Yeah, I've
so
seen fat Marines, so
yeah,
no
what are you
worries.
gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, right now it sounds like they're all going to get kicked out. So
Yeah, I know.
get in
Yeah,
shape or
times are
leave.
changing. Times are changing. I gotta trim it up.
Yeah. Well, good deal, man. So when did your season start? When was hunt day 0 for you?
So yeah, I headed down. I think it was like September 5th or 6th. I got off work and then I headed down on a Friday. And the only guys down there that I was competing against, there was one, maybe two other archery tag holders. I think it was just one other archery tag holder in this unit and spike hunters. So, um, so there's not as many hunters down there as there used to be, which was cool. But I mean, there's still a significant amount that are out there bugling their bugles and trying to call them in as well. But it wasn't as crowded as it was a decade ago down there for sure. So I headed down there, me and a buddy from work, um, and and then the rest of my buddies were gonna come on Saturday night. And so yeah, we got down there on a Friday, set up camp, went on an evening hunt into this, some of the Onyx waypoints I'd had mapped out. We're gonna check out here first, and we check out here second, see what the wind's like, a little bit of the game plan. And I finally found my first rub, which was like, okay, this is the first elk sign I've seen all summer. This is good. I like to see rubs. And so, but there was not a lot of elk sign in there. Nothing came of that evening hunt. We had a plan for Saturday morning, and then we laid in our tents. I was like, okay, we know what we're going to do in the morning. Get up at this time, head to our spot. But while we're laying asleep at night, it was dead quiet. One of those nights on the top of a mountain that you could just hear really well. And we heard bugles. Boom. So we woke up and
That's always
and
nice.
pinpointed where these bugles were. And man, I have never heard just the most beautiful sound when you have a big bull tag in your pocket and likely no one else around you has it. So I'm like, well, I know where we're going in the morning. And it wasn't too far from camp, which was a huge blessing. And so we didn't go back to sleep. It was 1 a.m. We did not go back to sleep. It's like, well, what are we going to go to sleep for like 3 hours? Because we got to walk in there and we kind of want to get in there by moonlight a little bit on this log road. And so we just got ready. And then we went and sat in a truck at the gate just to make sure that some other guy didn't want to beat us there even earlier, which we knew was not going to happen. And we started walking in by moonlight, just slowly shooting in there because, mature animals, like just like whitetails or mule deer bucks, like that that early light in the morning, like it gives them that added comfortability and especially when you're trying to call in elk. And it depends on how open it is. The more open it is, the earlier it is, the better. But if it's pretty good in cover, then it depends on if there's a hot cow and all the things. But they're a lot more confident with that low light. So I just kind of wanted to be in there close, and they were bugling on their own, so that helped us get in close by moonlight, and so we did. But yeah, on that hunt, we were able to put eyes on. We got around this bend, had really good wind, and put eyes on a 6x6 bull, and he was a shooter. He was by himself, no cows, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was like 8 a.m. No, 7:30, and he was down this canyon and then up on the other side. And I had my buddy stay, and I went down in after him. And then there was another bull also bugling on this hillside. I kind of got down in between them. The wind was still good. I found their bedroom. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is the elk sign I've been waiting for. Like, this is where they're at. This is where they spent some time. There was rubs. There's dry wallow. There was a bed with piss in it. Like, these bulls were raking trees. Like, I counted 12 rubs within eye distance. And so I'm like, this is a good spot. Hello. Let's go. And so I didn't want to
No
booger them
kidding.
up. I found this on, that Saturday morning. I have 9 days out ahead of me. And so this was good news. There's a 6x6 bull we just saw, and I'm in their bedroom. And so I ended up not pushing them too hard. It was already like later in the morning, 8:30. I backed out and I sat there on a hillside and listened to it do a couple growly bugles from their beds, and I knew that they'd laid down for the morning.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, what a great start to a hunt. Especially you're like, oh, we got 9 days. There's like no, I mean, there's pressure because it's a great tag, but there's a little bit of that probably sense of relief. Like, all right, like we're in the zone. We got a good chance. Like you said, you didn't want to booger them up, getting in
hmm
there and just spreading your scent around or pushing these elk out of the country. So it sounds like you guys kind of maybe played it safe and came up with a game plan.
Exactly. Yep. And one of the big things about this tag too is just like, man, my buddy Tyler Ellis, he has a PNW Hunting Co. He's starting to put together some YouTube videos, and he's got an Instagram page. You guys should check it out. It's actually cool. He puts out really good, just good content. And he's self filmed from a saddle, and he does. And anyway, I showed him elk hunting 3 or 4 years ago, and he is, just as anyone who gets showed or shown elk hunting now addicted. And he's had a lot of success in a short amount of time,
Right.
killing elk in Oregon. And so
Nice.
he took a week of leave off to come film this hunt with me. And he was supposed to show up on Saturday evening. And so I was just like, let's go back to camp. Ellis is going to roll in, and we're going to go on this evening hunt together. It's going to be sweet. Sure enough, Ellis rolls in, hustling to camp because he got a text from me saying, we got bulls, get in here as quick as you can. He rolls into camp like 3 p.m., reaches the brakes, throws on his camo, and grabs his camera, and we head out for the evening hunt. And had a really good game plan. The game plan was to get in between these two bulls because the wind was perfect. One bull was bedded probably 200 yards away from the other bull, about the middle of a third of a hillside. And the logging road kind of led all the way into him. It was about a 2 mile hike down this logging road to get in there, and then we were on to him. And so that was our plan. And Ellis, he was geared up to film hunting for a week and produce a really awesome, pretty much once in a lifetime tag. I mean, I may not ever draw this tag again, this quality elk tag, because they're, it takes so many points to get him anymore, and I'm 38, so it's like, we'll see if I ever shoot one with a bow again on this tag. So
Right.
let's get this on film. Let's share it with our family and friends. And he's just like, let's do
That's fantastic, man. I love that.
it. And so we did. We got in there, got it. The timing was good, and I was just telling him, I was like, all right, right about in here is where we want to go in. That one bull is bedded on this hillside, and I kind of want to sneak in here and call and see if they'll just sneak in quiet tonight. And so right as we're about to do that, he pops off on his own and lets out a bugle. And we just wide-eyed look at each other like, it's on. So we kind of button hook in, and we don't call right there because we're pretty much on a logging road. I was like, we're not calling him to this logging road. I just, with mature animals, I just always think they're so smart. Like, he's not going to come to a logging road. He could have. Maybe he just would have walked right to this logging road. But I wanted to button hook down and get on his level and call him in just for comfortability. And I've noticed, too, those mature bulls like to come from above you. If he's going to come into a bull town, if they can have the high ground as a dominance thing, whatever, they love to get that high ground. So I wanted to give it to him. And the wind was good for that. So I was like, okay, let's let him have the high ground. Whoop, button hooked underneath him, so he could have the high ground and come in, and it worked, man. We button hooked underneath him, and I let out a bugle. He answered right back, and I was trying to feel him out. I just let out a little location bugle, let him know another bull was right here, and I wanted to feel out his kind of his temperature or what, where he was at with dominance. I still hadn't seen this bull, but I could just tell from his bugle he was nice. Or it sounded mature anyway. Because this bull that was bugling right here close to
Right
us
on.
was not the one I had seen in the morning. So what is this guy? I don't know. So anyway, we're in a burn, and it's got fireweeds. This burn is 4 years old at this point. So there's not a lot of good prelim foliage. The trees aren't completely blackened, but they're pretty torched. But the fireweed was about chest high, though. So we had decent kind of cover, and then we can kind of hide behind trees to draw our bows or move from tree to tree and stay behind the trees as he's coming in. So we felt confident on our cover, even though it wasn't the greatest to call in an elk because, what, they go, as you know, Tom, they'll go as far as they could see. Those mature bulls, if I could see over there and you're supposed to be there and I don't see an elk there, I'm not going any further. And so we knew that.
Right.
And so we started calling, and I could tell he was mad. And then I cut him off one time, and he let back a big bugle and ripped. And you guys will all be able to see this video. Ellis was over my shoulder for this whole hunt, so he's producing it right now. It's going to be sweet. Again at PNW Hunting Co. He'll post it there, but
That's awesome,
um,
man.
yeah, it'll be sweet. I can't wait till you see it. I sent you that little trailer teaser. It's going to be sweet. Um, but anyways, this bull
Yeah,
comes
I
in. We
watched it,
finally see
man.
him,
It definitely got me excited for you.
and so he comes in. My blood's pumping. He's coming in. Finally, we see him. There he is. There he is. And he's a big 6x6 for sure. It's just like, okay, shooter, like this is happening. He hangs up at the distance as they do. Ellis was over my shoulder, and I didn't have a caller behind me, so I'm calling. Ellis is over my shoulder. Ellis has a cow read in too. I did introduce a cow once, and then I was back to bull sounds. Um, I'm trying to think of the sequence, how it happened, but we exchanged some bugles. I cut him off one time, some chuckles, and then I tried to keep it real natural as he kind of came in. I didn't want to just keep unleashing, just some simple sounds and then cracking some sticks with our feet just to let him know there was an elk still there. And then we let him come in the rest of the way. Once we started seeing him, we were obviously very leery. We didn't want to just keep calling a lot because he could see us. So we let him keep coming. And for about 15 minutes, we watched him. He was at 76 yards, raking a tree for a long time. And it was one of those, should I move up, try to shoot him right there? Or I don't want to booger it up. What if he sees me? So we felt that he was comfortable and he's raking a tree. I moved up 6 yards. Ellis followed. And we thought he was going to move to the left and get closer. And he did. He started moving. And I ranged this final patch of trees at about 56 yards. And I'm like, okay, he's going to step out in front of that about 51, maybe. And you'll see in the video, he does, steps out in front of that, looks right at the camera, rips this big, beautiful bugle and chuckle. Then he puts his head down, rakes some more grass, steps one more step forward. I draw my bow. Ellis zooms in a little bit, and you can see my arrow. I used my 50-yard pin, and it hit, as far as left right goes, it hit right in the crease behind shoulder, but it hit, I would say, probably 4 inches high. And I don't know what.
Hmm.
I started researching this topic, but I think I squared up a rib, Tom. It did not penetrate. And I'm shooting a
Okay.
400 grain arrow with a 300 velocity spine gold tip. It was only a 100 grain broadhead, mechanical carnivore. But for whatever reason, I've always passed through animals, like blown right through. I've had a faster shooting bow. It did not. It stuck out like, and I see it sticking out. I hit squares up a rib, hits it. I see a lot of arrow hanging out, probably like 4 or 5 inches penetration, maybe 4, maybe 3. He runs, but not super
Okay.
spooked.
Yeah. So now you're sweating right already.
Oh, I'm like, yeah, I see it instantly that it didn't penetrate. I reloaded another arrow. This bull does not know what happened. He didn't know we're there. Didn't really know what happened. He kind of quarters two. He's coming a little bit closer to us. I cow call twice, reload an arrow, draw. Cow call another time. He comes down to this log near us, about 30 yards. Then he's quartering away, walking. And as he's walking away, quartering away, I shot a walking shot and just hit right in the boiler room, quartering away. And it penetrated all the way to the fletchings. And it was another carnivore, mechanical. And it penetrated deep. And I saw it was a really good hit. So I saw the two Luminox sticking out of him, and I felt a lot better in that moment. But man, I can't believe I was able to get another
I
arrow in and
bet.
it worked out like that. Like, because it makes me sick, right? Archery hunting, I just, I worked so hard all year to
Sure.
make sure I'm not going to shoot a quartering two shot at 50 yards or something sketchy. I'm just not going to be the guy to ever do that. Been doing it too long. The animals mean too much to me. I'm not going to be one of those guys that just wounding animals. I'm not doing it. And so it just made me sick to see that arrow sticking out with all that preparation and the right equipment. I have no idea. It must have just instead of glancing off a rib, must have just squared it up. It was because I looked when he was dead. I looked and it wasn't shoulders.
Right. Right. Did you see like any obvious damage on the rib that on that side? Like, oh yeah, this thing definitely cracked right through this rib and the rib kind of stopped it, or um was it
I should
obvious
have
when you
done
on a like a
I should have
necropsy?
done some more investigating on that on the carcass. I kind of kicked myself because it's like I don't know all the other things we were doing. I didn't dig into the exact why. I looked to see if I hit shoulder and it was a no. I thought I hit rib, but I didn't kind of keep going like, well, why? And dig even harder.
Right. Well, I mean, it happens, right? You do everything in the world to prepare. You have good equipment you're confident in, and
Mhm,
man, sometimes things just happen. There's so many factors that go into making a good shot with a rifle, let alone a bow. And things go wrong, and things don't always happen the way they're supposed to happen. So,
mhm.
but yeah, I mean, how awesome is that that you got an opportunity to get a second arrow in him? Because that also does not always happen.
I know. I know. Honestly, it was a gift from God. And to be able to have it all on film too. Ellis just showed up to camp 2 hours before that. And he's just been this good luck charm. And I'm just like, I just needed you to show up, I guess. Like, of course we got him on the first hunt that you're here. We always joke about that because he just shot a monster full velvet whitetail with his bow. He shot an elk last year, first bull. Like he's just he's on this streak. But the guy puts the effort in. And so, but yeah, that's why he's so fun to just have around because he's got good instincts and he's talented. So but yeah, we got it all on film and it's cool. And so the crazy part is too, you'll see in the footage, he runs way over this hill and we're kind of just beside ourselves, excited about it. And then we see this other bull had been bugling in the distance too, the one I saw that morning. And then we see antler tips moving off to the right, and we thought it was my bull. Turned out this other 6x6 came in and to us about 30 yards, and we got footage of him too. He came right into us at 30 yards. He was a little bit of spooked in there
Nice.
because I think he just watched his buddy die up on the over the little hill. But yeah, he came in. We got to get a good look at him on camera too, and I think he was like a year younger, like or two younger. His body wasn't quite what my bull's body was, but his antler, his his main beam was longer and his tines were longer, but maybe just not as heavy. But yeah, he's a
Hmm.
beautiful bull too. So I was like, oh man,
Gotcha.
that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't ask for a better morning in the Elk Woods, that's for sure. Or evening, it's like if for folks that haven't experienced it, when you have a truly pissed off bull coming in, bugling, charging down the hill is pretty impressive. I mean, just the sound of a bugle. I think anybody that's heard that in the woods, hunter or not, it's a sound that you kind of like you're in awe. It's just an incredible sound. It's so unique to North America. I mean, they're just an iconic animal. But then to have them mad at you because they think you're another bull and only a few yards away on the other side of some bushes. I mean, you feel it in your chest. And yeah, to say your adrenaline's pumping is like an understatement.
Absolutely, yeah. It was incredible. It had all the things, right? The big bugle and bowl, come in, bugle for the camera, right at us. And we had 15 minutes to just look at him and awe over him. It was absolutely incredible. And then yeah, go ahead, buddy. My boy's just getting done with soccer, so he's just asking if he can go play for a little bit
Nice.
longer. But, you know. Yeah, so that was that, and then just absolutely awesome timing because then I had four other buddies who were rolling into camp on that Saturday night. So and I was able to get a radio back to camp, and I was able to send my pin from Onyx to one of my buddies. And then here came all the pack mules in right to our spot, and we were able to celebrate. We cracked a beer on location and all celebrated. And they were all able to be there, come meet me at the animal and help me pack him out. And it was a big, heavy, mature bull. I got 365 pounds of meat off of that bull, and yeah, it was heavy. That hide and head, I'm gonna shoulder mount him. The hide and head was so heavy. I packed out elk, and I don't know,
Yeah.
my pack was not ready for that hide and head. Like it took us 2 hours to go 2 miles on a logging road. And like got back to camp at 3 a.m. Like, oh man, I was beat, but it was awesome.
Yeah. What a glorious feeling, though, right? I mean, that's awesome, brother.
Mhm.
Oh. Epic hunt. So, any idea for those that might be interested, what he's gonna score?
I did. I've never scored an elk before, but I did score him myself. This is my first time I've ever scored one. I shot a 6x6 in Oregon last year as well, a younger 6x6, and that was my first branch antler bull with a bow. My brother called him in, raked and bugled him in for me, which is a cool kind of like huge moment for us because it's like we grew up hunting and we've been thinking about dreaming about that moment forever. And he called in that bull for me in Oregon last year, and we celebrated like man, it was just incredible to have him there for that. So, anyways, but yeah, I scored this bull with a tape at 290. That was my JV effort, but I think I was pretty close. It's somewhere around 290. I was like, oh, I wonder if this guy's over 300. What does it take to get over 300? And let me tell you, it takes a lot to get over 300. So I was like, holy crap! All
Yeah.
right, this guy's a beauty.
Yeah, man. I think sounds like you can't beat the hunt. And I mean, like you said, you had all the things that you could ever want on a hunt. So I don't know how uh it could get any better regardless of how big the bull is. I think that's a an absolute stud bull, and I mean, what a trophy. What a hunt. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I was able to call back, and the wifey and kids, they were just, and I got a picture out to them, and that was my first phone call. They're standing over him. It's like we did it, like we got him, because not enough credit always, but the sacrifice, the time, the effort, the money that goes into, again, I don't get out a lot, Tom. I mean, especially right now with how busy life is. I'm the kind of guy who loves it, where I would love to go out for a month, and I but I have my priorities right as much as I can. I would like to say some guys are able to balance it better than others, and no judgment on either path. But for me, I this 1 week a year is kind of what 7 to 10 days is what I put all my eggs in that elk basket for now, and then I do a whitetail hunt later in November. But that's kind of all I would like to sacrifice in this moment in time with the ages of my kids. But so it's cool to make it all happen and have the whole family celebrate it.
It is, man. And, I'm so glad to hear where your priorities at, because I just think that, um, hunting can really consume us.
Hmm.
It's being out there, it's addicting,
It
in all the good
recharges you.
ways, and
I
it's a
mean,
super healthy thing. Yep. It does recharge you, and it's a really healthy way to hobby to have, and it's a obviously it can come with some expense, but it is a healthy, really good hobby. Obviously, it's what most of my life is built around these days is hunting and fishing. But just on the spiritual aspect of it, it can become an idol, right? And that's not okay. You have to put your God first, your family first, your responsibilities first, and then what's left is what you get and give to yourself in hunting. um, and I do think that there's some spiritual importance to getting out in the wilderness too. But yeah, you got to put the responsibilities, you got to have your priorities right. And I just love that you have your priorities right, but then when you put in the effort, you put in the work, you still manage to get it done. So that's pretty impressive, man. I love that about your story.
absolutely, yeah. And I think it's just good. Like some guys,
And
I hear it at work, in our professions, it's like, how do you find the time? And, I totally relate with that statement. Um, but, you know, get out there, take some videos while you're out there, relive them a little bit from your phone. It recharges you, it makes you a better dad, makes you a better husband. And, that's what, and the meat it provides is just an absolute blessing, in the end. When you work so hard for something, it's so much sweeter with that meat in the freezer and to be able to enjoy that as a family.
100%, man. And the fact that you shared that mom with your family's beautiful too. I love that. And so they get to see it in the field, you with the bull that you just got, and then you get to wrap it all up and bring home some food that they all get to enjoy. So I bet you've got some kids that are itching to get out and hunt as well.
Absolutely. Yep. We got turkey shotguns and spring on the brain and their first deer in the horizons for sure. So we got some plans in the works for that.
Nice. Any of your turkey hunting plans include John?
Actually, listen to your last podcast with John and his passion for sharing it with father son. And he invited me to that veteran hunt last year. It didn't work out for our timing. I would have loved to have met you then. But I would love just because John, means a lot to me, and he's just such a good guy. I would love for John to be there and call in my son's first turkey, or for him to just enjoy that too, that moment. So I would love to make that happen. John has asked me multiple times, like, "Oh, anytime you want to go," he's just, he's like, "I'll fit you in my schedule," which I know is in April is like jam packed. It's like, but he's so willing, and he's just a good friend. So I would love to
He
make
is
that
willing.
happen.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Man, it's funny. You're not going to obviously have to twist his arm, and uh, yeah, I think something that he and I have both become really passionate about the last few years is the youth hunts. They're a different level of special, man. That rather than,
Hmm.
not that I don't like going and hunting with adults and friends and colleagues and all those great things and doing the adult camps for veterans, but
Hmm.
with our youth camp last year and the youth hunts that we've done the last few years before that, they're special, man. And I think that it's just awesome to introduce kids into hunting. And turkey hunting is a great way to do it. It's not, especially when you go with John, it's not a boring hunt. Typically, it's pretty action packed. There's a lot of moving around. So yeah, man, I really hope that just the more I get to know you through this podcast, I really want to meet you in person. So I'm definitely hoping that we'll get out in the turkey woods with you and John this spring and your kiddos.
Absolutely. I love turkeys. Their relationship to elk hunting is very close, and I love it for that too. It's
I was
action
going to
packed and
ask
it's
you about
calling you
that.
animal. Yeah, it's like it's right there. John makes a reference to it in his podcast video. It's like, you're right. Get those gobblers fired up. It's like a big
Yeah, yeah,
bull, and there's more of them, which is nice compared to elk. Yeah,
yeah. Easier pack outs, more tags,
yep,
and you can
exactly. Yeah.
go in a lot of the same country. That's
Uh,
awesome, man. So just kind of back on your hunting trip here. Uh, what would be some of like your key takeaways from this hunt? What kind of gear, I mean, did you use? Would you have not taken? Would you take again? Obviously, it's kind of a warm. This is a very warm drought year in the Pacific Northwest. Um, but like gear, your strategies, physicality. You talked about being in shape. What were your key takeaways that you would do again and that you might do differently if you were going back next year?
yeah, that's a good question. Especially doing it after like 10, 15 years too. And I don't have a lot of extra money to throw towards all the best things. There's such good stuff out there. If you have money, cool. But for me, as you try to piece together gear over the years without having to buy it all at once, um, I think a good external pack frame that can haul heavy weight. The pack I've always used for meat and the cows or the spikes that I've hauled out, or even my young bull last year, it was fine. But for a big bull, it was not the right pack frame. It was just not. It made it work, but that was probably a good external pack frame and loading it properly. Kind of how do you do that? How should I load it? Antlers up, antlers down. If you have one of those tags and that you're after one of those animals, probably learning that. And then um other than that, I think spending more time calling. I think a lot of guys, especially when you're in like Washington, you don't have one of these tags, you're out chasing spikes. There's really no incentive to get really good at calling unless you're in Utah or Colorado or New Mexico or Idaho or Montana. So most in Washington, Eastern Washington, like there's not a lot of good callers in Eastern Washington because it's like, you're not really into bugling bulls. So if you're able to go on one of these hunts in maybe Oregon or you're going out of state, spend more time calling, not just cow calls, but bull sounds. Get good on a bugle. It gives you confidence and you sound confident, you'll do it more often. And so that would probably be another one that factors for sure. Because I a lot of my buddies are elk hunters too. It's like, but not a lot of them are spending a lot of time on the bugle. Which again, we all have wives, kids, families, and all the things. Like, oh, I'll get to it when I'm driving and stuff like that. But all the different bull sounds, not just one singular bugle, having some different tools in your toolbox.
Right. I think that Elk Nut app, you kind of had mentioned, Paul. That was just learning how to kind of understand what elk are saying when they're talking and the different noises they make. I think that's been pretty helpful. And I'm by no means an expert at understanding it or an expert caller. Um, but when I have called bulls, that watching, like, having that little bit of preloaded knowledge, you kind of, oh, okay, I think this is what he's trying to say. And then
Yeah.
knowing that cutting off a really angry bull can make a huge difference too. I've seen that happen in the woods, and it works like a charm, man. You get that bull that is angry, especially if there's more than one bull bugling. You cut one of those guys off, and it's going to be game on.
Yep. 100%. That's good.
Yeah, man. Well, sweet. What did you guys do for camp? Did you guys base camp with the trucks?
Yeah, we did the base camp
Were
at
you
the
guys
trucks.
ready to
We were
spike
kind of
camp?
prepared. Yeah, we were kind of prepared to maybe go to a spike camp in one area that was like a hike in. But all the hunts that were in this area were mostly like a base camp type hunt that you could always get out of. So we were back at the trucks with tents.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that was another thing. It's just like, I didn't have the best lightweight spike camp gear, the best sleeping pad, I had a cot. And so someone could, you could really kind of get carried away in this and that and be intimidated that you don't have all the right or best things, but go do it with what you got. You know what I mean? Don't let it keep you out of the woods. And that was kind of my mindset. I went and did it with what I had. And so, this is the first year I've ever had a spotting scope, actually. We have a lot of trees here, and I've had decent binos. But this is a year of all the years that pushed me to buy a spotting scope because it's big, steep, deep country there. And if we could class up a bull that was worthy of getting or going in after, then I was going to go in after him. So I did invest in the spotting scope this year. With that tag in my pocket, it gave me a little bit of a push to do that, but now I have it forever, so it's
What
cool.
spotter did you go with?
It was still classic Brad move. Don't look at the expensive glass because then you just can mentally pretend that it doesn't exist and that the lower end one is the top of the line. Full mental trick. You guys should try it. It was a Vortex Crossfire. It's like, but it's good
Hey,
glass
man,
still.
absolutely, and it's still a tool that's going to help you be more efficient and effective in the woods, man. I just joined the spotter crew last year for the same reasons. It's so thick up here in North Idaho. I hadn't had a ton of reason to have a spotter, other than maybe looking for bears and trying to judge bears. But even that can be difficult up here in this thick country. But I went down south and did a mule deer hunt last year in the Gospel Hump, and that's got a lot more glassing potential. And so I figured it would be helpful, and it was. And I'm stoked because I'm going back there again this year. So that spotter is going to come in handy again. It's a good thing to have for sure. But yeah, some of the country that you and I hunt doesn't really lend to spotting scopes.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went on a white-tailed management doe tag hunt this week, and spotting scope.
That.
I didn't even go in the truck.
That's awesome. Congrats on
thanks,
first
man.
In the freeze, early October.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was fun. A little bittersweet because we've had such a bad blue tongue. EHD, which you could do a whole podcast on that outbreak in the area lately, and but I was up in the mountains, and it just seems that and I guess I should ask a biologist this. I might be speaking some misinformation in a day where everyone cares about that stuff, but it seems like the mountains, it doesn't really get as bad up there, maybe because they're more flowing creeks and stuff like that, cooler temperatures. They've already had frost up higher. It wasn't super high, but it was higher than the valley floors where the die-off's been real bad. But I was like, man, I hope I didn't do the wrong thing by taking a doe out of there. But they issue these management tags. The season was for September 15th through October 15th. So I was like, man, I go out there and chase, even though it's just a doe, go chase deer with a rifle when nobody else is out in the woods. I went out this weekend, and there's no archery hunters, there's no rifle hunters. It's in between seasons, so that was pretty cool. And it was an epic morning, and whitetail doe is going to eat really good. She was by herself, so I was pretty confident she didn't have any fawns or anything. And
cool,
yeah,
that's
perfect. It's a good trip for sure. It's fun. Heck yeah. Well, good deal, man. Before we wrap this up here and get off the hook, you got any concluding thoughts that you want to share about your hunt or just about hunting in general or life? I mean, anything's good, man. What you got for us?
Yeah, I would say just, there's a lot of guys looking for the extra tip here and there. Networking is great, and I love social media for that, and I love the connections that it makes. Um, but nothing quite replaces doing your own homework and getting out there and going to put eyes on it yourself. A lot of guys, it's just like anything, right? Like, oh, I'm going to get around to doing this, get around to doing that. Um, you know, you if you don't have the best hunting buddy or you don't have the closest friends that are all diehard hunters, but you have a passion for the outdoors, don't let it you know discourage you from just going out and putting the time in on your own. It's always worth it. You're never gonna come home from the outdoors and be like, oh, I should have sat on the couch. Like there's always some reward out there to find. It could be a new creek you found that you could try fly fishing next summer. It could be a camping spot you found. It could be a view. It could be an area you found to go bear hunting next year or to go pick huckleberries in maybe next time. And there's not a lot of big game there, but there's always something to be found and gained from finding, discovering, and mapping out new areas, especially within a couple-hour drive from where you live. But go put in the effort, and then also, seek and share advice as much as you can to help and build each other up as hunters. Share successes and say congratulations, and try not to bag on each other as a hunting core that we have.
Yeah, man. I think hunters got to stick together. It's been said a few times, but more than ever, right? To protect what we got, especially over in your neck of the woods in Washington, and just constantly under attack. But I just couldn't have said it better, man. I think you were spot on with what you said. Get out. And I just had this conversation with a buddy yesterday who's discouraged because, friends aren't going hunting with them or people won't help them learn how to elk hunt. And it's like, man, the unfortunate reality of it is, man, unless you have a really, really, really tight friend that just loves you, people aren't gonna necessarily want to share their time in the elk woods with you. They're definitely not gonna want to share their honey holes. In my experience, a lot of elk hunters can be kind of stingy, and I kind of don't have a problem with that. Is it takes a lot of work to get good at, as you know, and um, but if you have the ability to help somebody out, I think you really ought to, because you're just going to make the hunting community stronger on the flip side of all of that. And but I told him, man, go out and enjoy being out there by yourself and go learn, get the experience. I told him the same things that you just said, and hopefully that young feller will listen to this episode and hear it from. Maybe it'll mean more if it doesn't come from me.
No,
but
it's good. Can't get him on the couch. I've always loved that
man.
one. You can't shoot him on the couch. Can't see that on the couch. I always like that.
No, you cannot. Well, good deal, man. Brad, thanks again so much for spending some time. I'm glad that your boy is able to get a little extra time out in the soccer field this evening.
Yeah,
so hopefully he's having a good
soccer.
time. And good deal, man. Love it. Love that you're out there with the kids and taking the time, doing the dad thing. Last thing I got is, where can people follow your adventures at? Because I think you are worth checking out for those adventures.
Oh yeah,
I'd like to know.
Yeah, I don't personally have my own outfit, but I team up a lot with my buddy Tyler Ellis, PNW Hunting Co. on Instagram, and then there'll be links to the hunt that we went on YouTube as well, so you can watch the full video on YouTube when we drop it. Maybe it'll drop before this episode drops, and we can just link it in when you drop that. So that'd be cool. But he's working on it. He said he's getting pretty close.
Absolutely.
So all right, let's do it. So yeah, Tyler Ellis at PNW Hunting Co. He's got some good stuff. Check him out.
Good deal. All righty. All right. Well, appreciate it again, Brad. And I'll let you go round up your kiddo and get to your evening. But take care, man. And hopefully maybe we'll have you back on one of these days.
All right, Tom. Yeah, hope to maybe see you in April. But yeah, let's stay in touch soon.
All right, brother. Take care.
You too. Bye.
See you.
Thanks again. And if this resonates with you, I want to welcome you to the tribe and encourage you to share this podcast with your friends. Hit subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Pursuing Freedom Outdoors. And if you or someone you know has a great story about life or the wilderness, I want to share it. You can shoot me a message on Instagram or email me with all inquiries and questions at thomas@pursuingfreedomoutdoors.com. That's Thomas, THOMAS, at pursuingfreedomoutdoors.com. Until next time, get out there, get after it, and pursue freedom in the outdoors.